Broadcasting from the basement of La Penta, it's WICR.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon, and welcome back to another edition of the Big Dance. Martino Pucci, Matt Lasella along here with you. Okay, rapidly approaching its draft season in the NFL and the NBA. NBA lottery is on May 19th, I believe. So only a couple weeks away, as we're almost to May. More and more mocks are coming out, especially as some the first round of the NBA playoffs is kind of rounding out. You know what teams are going to get eliminated, what aren't.
Yeah.
First of all, shout out to the Rockets bench for not
celebrating at all.
You want to know
at
what?
all?
No.
What was that?
Here's
I
my,
know there's problems with James Harden,
no.
but come on.
Here's my theory. They don't want to keep playing. They know they have to play a Game 5 now. They know they have no shot of winning this series. The fact that they have to keep playing, they gotta go. They gotta go. Yeah, they gotta go travel.
They don't want
back.
to do that.
They don't want to do that.
Harden does.
That was Clint Capella. Capella was the only one.
See, I don't like that attitude because no matter how much you don't like your team and maybe the locker room problems they have with Dwight and Harden and whatever it is, you have played against no Curry for 2 games. You could have been up 2-1.
They just about blew it last night.
Up 2-1.
Sean Livingston took over last night.
Yeah.
That was like the Sean Livingston everyone wanted when he was coming out of the draft. But anyways, that's besides the point. They're not winning anything anyways.
No. But they should be up 2-1.
Well, I don't.
And then you get another home game.
I still don't like how James Harden is trying now. You get what I'm saying? Like this effort, this high level James Harden is only coming now. He doesn't have the right to turn on the switch in the playoffs. They're the 8th seed. You can't do that. Not in the West. You gotta try harder and get a better seed. You can't pull it off against the Warriors. They're fortunate that Curry's sitting out. But anyways, speaking of guards and shooting guards, our first topic is going to be on Buddy Hield and Jamal Murray, the two top shooting guards in this draft. We already talked about them and kind of gave our opinions on our scouting report and stuff. But it's the one position that 3 of the top 6 lottery teams really need. I mean the Sixers do need a shooting guard, but presuming they do get the number 1 overall pick, it's going to be irrelevant because they're going to take Ingram or Simmons.
Right.
So that doesn't really matter. But a lot more, it was Jaylen Brown who just declared yesterday that he was going to be the guy that was going to be the top shooting guard being selected. But the more people are thinking and kind of the dust settling, people not falling in love with just Jaylen Brown and his crazy athleticism, I think they're really looking at the kind of shooting guard that everyone needs now, and it's the shooter. It's not the actual slasher kind like, you Dwayne Wade, Tyreek Evans kind of shooting guard. It's more of the Bookers, the Klay Thompson kind of shooting guards that you need now. And the more and more I thought about it, I wanted the Celtics to go and grab Jaylen Brown. But just thinking about that, their 29th in three-point field goal percentage is a really big issue. And this is a team that is the 5th seed in the East, and they keep on improving every year, but that's the one spot they haven't improved in is three-point shooting. They did select R.J. Hunter, who was supposed to be a three-point shooter, but there's just so many guards on the roster. It's hard to play him. It's hard to get him his shots. I mean, Olynyk and Isaiah Thomas are the best three-point shooters on the team. I mean, says it pretty much there. But the more I think about it, I think Buddy might actually end up going to the Celtics because he was he had an amazing shooting season with Oklahoma this year.
The early pick of Jaylen Brown going there made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to agree with you here that Buddy, if Boston has the 3, I think Buddy will and should and will go there. I think
constant improvement too.
Constant improvement. I think I think his skill set just complements the way that offense is run right now. And I think in regards to Jamal Murray, who's the other 2 who kind of falls into the high lottery is.
He's really more of a combo though. A lot of scouts had him as a point guard too, but
he's too big. He's not. It's not his game.
His skill set too. He's a really good shooter. Also, when he had that game against Florida, he hit like 7 threes. He dropped 35 on him. No matter who you are, Florida's a great program. You drop 35 on them. There's something to be said.
And I think he just fits better in Minnesota.
Yeah,
if that's where that pick ends up being.
I'm thinking more and more, and this is just, I know we say it every single week, but this is really going along the lines of everyone staying put in the lottery.
Right.
Chances are, obviously, that won't happen. But say it now, I really do see New Orleans as a spot for Jamal Murray. I really do think that Chris Dunn is gonna end up
In Minnesota.
I still think to this day that makes the most sense.
I think it makes the most sense, at least from our point of view, because if you're in New Orleans, you have Drew Holiday. You know, Drew Holiday's still young. Is there need for Chris Dunn? Not really. They need that scoring guard. You know, Eric Gordon hasn't been that, and he had a better year this year. Then he gets hurt. They've been so plagued with injuries.
Holiday has a lot of injuries, though. Him and Eric Gordon are just that's the most injured backcourt I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I maybe when Brandon Roy was on with the
right.
Trailblazers, but that's the thing.
Jamal Murray does fit that system better. In the fact they need a shooter, they need a scorer. Anthony Davis has no help whatsoever.
The best position, obviously, they got Omer Asik is a solid complementary guy to Anthony Davis when healthy. But I think really what it comes down to is they got to take the best guard available. I don't think it matters if it's Chris Dunn or Jamal Murray. Who's ever left after the Minnesota pick, they have to take him. I don't think Jaylen Brown's a good fit to go there because he's a real slasher, and you need a good point guard to get the ball, the slasher. Yeah, well, I mean that too, but Tyreek, he missed a ton of games.
Well,
he missed over 20 games.
Right.
So it might even be just the training staff down there because Anthony Davis also lost $25 million because he couldn't finish out the season.
Right.
But to come back to the Buddy Hield and Jamal Murray argument, it more of the knock that people don't want to take Buddy that high is just because he's a senior. And Danny Ainge does not like underclassmen. And it's noted, and it's duly noted. Kelly Olynyk, Marcus Smart, kind of technically counted as an underclass, but he was still a sophomore compared to that
no one and done
freshman heavy class. You know, he was kind of a guy who went back and tried to improve, and he did. And then he selected Terry Rozier last year, but on top of R.J. Hunter with the Clippers pick later in the first round. So my whole thought process is I don't think Danny is gonna pick a guy that is an underclassman unless he absolutely thinks this is a guy that is just
you could eventually build around,
like a franchise cornerstone. Not to say Jamal Murray's gonna or any of these guys in this draft. I only think Simmons or Ingram really have the potential to be that big, and then Bender's just a complete raw talent kind of thing. But the more I hear about Buddy Hield, the more good things about his work ethic and where he's from. Because you remember when he dropped 40-something? Who was that against when they killed Oregon in the tournament, right?
Was it Oregon? Yeah, I think you're right.
And he said he wanted to put on a show because Kobe was there.
Right.
That's the kind of shooting guard you want. Especially when we were growing up, Kobe was the prototypical shooting guard. Even Dwayne Wade, it's a killer instinct.
Right.
And I really would like that. Even if he's not the greatest defender in the world, there's no one there to say that he can't improve. There's a bunch of guys in the NBA that came in and just improved ridiculous amounts. Curry being one of them, Draymond Green being one of them, CJ McCollum, like Jay Crowder's, guys like that all the time. So it really just depends on your coaching and who you have and what the system is for guys like that. So, I mean, you tell me, okay, so you're the Celtics, you got the pick at 3. Okay, Simmons and Ingram are obviously off the board. Are you taking Buddy Hield or Jamal Murray? If you're Danny Ainge. You're not thinking like Danny Ainge.
I'm going Buddy. I'm going Buddy. I'm going Buddy. And it's not a knock on Murray at all, of course, or Dunn or Jaylen Brown. I think just the way the Celtics are constructed, I think it's
there's not a chance they pick Dunn though. Dunn.
Of course not. No.
It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Unless there's a package.
Right.
For a deal.
I mean that's a possibility, but I
don't know. It's got to be a jaw dropper of a deal. You know?
Right.
Maybe to like Knicks want to package Melo. You never know.
Yeah,
what the thing is a 3-team trade with Cleveland if Cleveland doesn't work out. But anyways,
something along those lines. But yeah, I think it's got to be Buddy. I think it just makes the most sense. They need a shooter. Crowder can knock him down a little bit. Isaiah, Olynyk.
It's still at the end of the day, you think that, but then there they are.
They don't have a true shooter. You can't not have a shooting guard that can't shoot. you won't be successful.
As great as Avery Bradley is on defense, and he's probably going to get first team all defense for shooting guard, at the same time,
even if he stays in the starting role and you have Buddy come off the bench by 15, 20 minutes a night, he's a microwave too. You can't forget that.
They're gonna be making a deal.
Yeah.
They got to. I think they really got to package like Sully, Hunter, maybe even the Dallas pick somewhere. Got to get a good big man. And that's also a problem there too. But there's no big man at the top of the draft that's worth taking unless you really fall in love with Bender and you really believe he's going to be that good. But higher ceiling really quick, Jamal or Buddy?
I want to say Buddy because I think his skill set is more defined.
I think it's the work ethic is just
The
more you hear about it, I know it's a cliche when it comes down to work ethics, but when you realize and you read up on some of the ways people how they work, we're talking about how Kobe only slept 4 hours a night and then he would take 2 1-hour naps during the day on a consistent basis. You want a guy like that, especially a guy that was talented enough and he actually improved that amount. So I'm really the more I think about it, I'm really liking the Buddy Hield. Unless I would totally be okay with Danny picking a Bender. But I'm thinking more and more that Jamal's might go to New Orleans or Minnesota at this point, because obviously Phoenix does not need a shooting guard because they have theirs for the future. All right. So, anyways, that's our segment on that. We're gonna be coming back to branching off on that segment to upperclassmen and underclassmen and kind of where they fall and why some GMs might lean towards underclassmen and others might lean to upperclassmen. Big Dance. Be back in a minute.